Pokemon Challenge videos have been popular for quite a while now and have been changing ever so slightly as time went on. From the original solo run started by PaPaSea to type challenges to whatever you call this, and there's just a lot out there. One thing I have never seen done though was a Pokemon Challenge run using only Pokemon that fit a specific color. So let me explain. Each Pokemon is assigned a specific color by the Pokedex, and each are only given one color no matter how many colors the Pokemon might have, like how Alolan Muck has all of these crazy colors going on it, but it's only categorized to be a green Pokemon. Today though, we are going to try to do a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Fire Red by only using red colored Pokemon. There's only about 10 or so Pokemon we can use in Fire Red, not counting pre-evolutions, which include things like the Charizard line, Seaking, Flareon, and Kingler to name a few. Unfortunately, Moltres isn't red since that would just make too much sense. It's considered yellow for some reason, while Articuno is blue and Zapdos is yellow, but the thing is, we probably wouldn't even be able to get Moltres in this game since it's in a different location compared to the original Red and Blue games. Now, I decided to go for Fire Red over Leaf Green because, for one, it has red in the title and we're using red Pokemon, so it makes sense. And second, because Oddish is exclusive to Fire Red, which eventually evolves into a red Pokemon in Vileplume. For some reason, Oddish and Gloom are considered blue Pokemon, although they look more purple if you ask me, while Vileplume is red, but I'll take it. I actually learned this the hard way because I started recording this challenge on Leaf Green version because Magmar is exclusive to Leaf Green and is also a red Pokemon, and then I realized that it'd be nearly impossible to beat Misty without an Oddish, and it would probably be more valuable than a Magmar. Now this is the only instance where we're going to have a Pokemon in Oddish that isn't technically red that's going to evolve into a red Pokemon, but seeing as it's going to ultimately end up being a red Pokemon, I think it's pretty fair to use, especially since we can evolve it into Vileplume pretty early on. For the other rules, we can only catch one Pokemon per area, so long as it fits the pool of red Pokemon, of course. If a Pokemon ends up fainting, it's considered dead and must be deposited in the PC. No overleveling before entering the gym, set the battle style to set, and no healing items in battle. If you've ever seen my other Nuzlocke or challenge videos like this in the past, then you should know what to expect, which could be a good or a bad thing. This is my first time doing some type of challenge like this, so hopefully everything goes well and I don't accidentally mess anything up. And if you want to support the channel and see more Pokemon videos, make sure to leave a like, as one like goes a long way. And also consider subscribing since we're so close to that 100,000 subscriber milestone. And with all that out of the way, let's hammer away at Pokemon Fire Red using only red Pokemon. So starting off, I named my character Red because of the challenge, and his name just so happens to be Red anyway. And then I decided to name our rival the opposite of Red, which is Green, which also happens to be our rival's Japanese name. As we load up in our room, the first thing I do is change the text frame to be red, of course, and then go into the grass to meet Professor Oak and pick our starter Pokemon. I decided not to pick Bulbasaur since it is not red, and I decided to not pick Squirtle since it is also not red, so I picked Charmander because it is red. I named it Napoleon because if you didn't know, Charmander, a very big and scary looking dragon-like monster, isn't really that big or tall at only 5'7" tall, much like the real-life version of Napoleon. Napoleon is also often depicted as wearing some sort of red sash too, so I guess it kinda fits the theme even more. After this, going through the Viridian Forest with a fire type was pretty easy enough, and for Brock's gym battle, the level cap is going to be 14. Charmander learns Metal Claw before that, however, I know that the only way we can possibly beat Brock in this challenge is just by getting lucky. I learned this from the scrapped Leaf Green attempt that I did recently, where I just had to keep resetting until Brock's Onix either missed the move, my Metal Claw got a critical hit, or if I got enough Metal Claw attack boost to knock out the Onix. I decided to just save in front of Brock's gym for all of these attempts since it was all luck dependent and I didn't want to reset and play through this point so many times, which might be considered cheating, but after what I think was about 9 attempts, we get lucky enough by Onix randomly going for a tackle when a Rock Tomb would have killed me, and then missing a Rock Tomb on the following turn, allowing us to knock it out with Metal Claw, and also getting us level up to level 16, since at the start of the fight I was just a hair below level 15. At this point I also realized that making sure I'm below the level cap will be kind of hard, especially early on with our limited Pokemon, since there's so many trainers we have to battle. The next level cap is 21 for Misty's gym, which really isn't that far off, so I do have to be careful, but right outside Mount Moon we can buy this Magikarp since it's red, adding a second member to our team. It's basically useless and it will just be something we sack off later on most likely, because of course we can't evolve it since Gyarados is blue, but I decided to name it Joan after the Joan of Arc to stick with our French theme. We get our first actual encounter in Mount Moon though, which is Paris, which isn't the strongest Pokemon, but it can definitely help us out later on and can definitely be a valuable member to our team. Since we're apparently doing a French theme now in this playthrough, I of course decided to name the Paris France. This brings us into Cerulean City, where we are stuck in a pickle, and not even the good kind, because although we do have Paris, which can help against Misty a little bit with Leech Life on her part Psychic type Starmie, it's only a 20 base power move, which is incredibly weak. Charmeleon is basically useless, and Magikarp is, well, a Magikarp, so I know that we have to go battle our rival and the trainers on the Nugget Bridge first, while somehow not being over-leveled. I decided to get France to about level 21 and Napoleon to 20, since I know that I'll need to use Napoleon a lot until we go through this route and get an Oddish, which is why I'm doing this part before the Misty fight. The rival fight goes by pretty easily, with the Charmeleon taking care of most of our rival's team, and then France taking care of his Abra and Squirtle. Surprisingly, Charmeleon and Paris actually cover each other very well. I guess it's not too surprising since one's a fire type and one's a grass type, but as I head through the bridge, I realize that Charmeleon is definitely going to be over-leveled for this gym fight, but I really need to catch this Oddish, otherwise I know I'll have no chance against Misty unless I get incredibly lucky and rely on getting a lot of Stun Spore paralyses on Misty's Pokemon, since her Starmie could easily two-shot me. I then realized that even if Charmeleon is going to be a bit over the cap, I won't use Charmeleon in the actual gym battle anyway, so although this might be against the rules and the second time in like the last 2 minutes that I'm possibly cheating in this run, it at least won't have a direct impact on the gym fight. I eventually find the Oddish, name it Grape, which I guess doesn't really fit in the French theme too much, but I guess French people like wine and wines come from grapes, which is kind of a stretch, but it'll do. Then I get to level 21 where it evolves into Gloom. Still not technically a red Pokemon, but once it's Vileplume, it'll be red, so I'll take it. Grape has the move Absorb, so the gym battle against Misty goes by in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, thanks to Absorb healing us up, allowing us to tank hits pretty easily. Next up, we have to go to Vermilion City and into the SS and for another rival fight against Green, where the level cap is now 24 for Lieutenant Surge. The start of the fight goes by pretty well for us until Green sends out his Kadabra. I thought I was being smart, so I switch out Napoleon to go into Paris, or France I should say, thinking it could tank a hit from this Psychic type Pokemon and then kill it with a Leech Life, because that's how I took care of the Abra in the last rival fight, but Confusion does over half damage and Charmeleon is pretty weak, so I am forced to let France go down unfortunately. I really should have leveled it up a bit to the cap of 24 since it would have evolved by then and possibly taken a hit better and also maybe learned some new moves here and there. But thankfully we still have Gloom to handle his starter Pokemon, which is a water type, and win the battle. I decided to keep France as an HM slave for now since it can learn Cut, which is kinda cool and we needed to get into the next gym, and I also taught Charmeleon the Dig TM we got from Cerulean City to help against Surge's electric type Pokemon. I spam Dig against Surge and lay waste to most of his team, but get a little scared when he sends out Raichu. It keeps going for a double team and eventually paralyzes my Charmeleon, and I know the only chance we have of defeating this Pokemon is by breaking through the paralysis and connecting with a Dig through all of these double teams. This was a very close call, and I really thought we would end the run here and have to restart for our 12th attempt after all those Brock attempts, but thankfully we land a Dig and get the one-hit KO on the Raichu, giving us the 3rd gym badge. I'm still a little bit upset about losing France since I thought it would be a great Pokemon for this run, but luckily we do still have a few cool encounters between now and the next gym fight against Erica's Grass-type Pokemon, and even though we did lose a Grass-type Pokemon from France, we do still have Gloom, which is a Grass-type. From here we have to go through the rock tunnel, but first we need the Flash HM to make going through it a bit easier, so I catch a few random Pokemon to meet the Aids Pokedex quota, so he gives us Flash, and coincidentally, France can learn Flash. I proceed across the route and into the patch of grass on the coast right near the rock tunnel, where we get our next red encounter, being Voltorb. This will be a great addition to our team since it's a brand new type, an electric type, so I caught it and named it Voltaire after the French philosopher Voltaire to keep up with the French theme, and it also has Volt in the name, which is just fitting for an electric type Pokemon. I also made sure to avoid as many trainers as possible from here on out because I felt like it would be really easy to accidentally overlevel, something I've been worrying about for this whole run pretty much. So between this point and Celadon, I avoid every possible trainer that I could. Celadon City is a big city for us, literally and figuratively, because there's a lot we can do here, like get an Eevee, which I named Eleanor, and we can also get a Firestone to evolve that Eevee into Flareon, since Flareon is of course considered red in this game, and we can also use the Leaf Stone to evolve a Grape into Vileplume, which will also change it from a blue Pokemon to a red Pokemon. I also thought that maybe we'd be able to catch a Growlithe too, since it's red and can be found nearby, and it's at least more red than Vileplume, but no, it's considered a brown Pokemon instead for some reason, so we can't catch it. Our next task though is to take on Erica's Grass-type gym, with the level cap being level 29. Since we have Charmeleon, we're able to get through her very quickly, although we do have a bit of a scare with her Victory Bell paralyzing me, which was her first Pokemon by the way, and critting me with Acid, knocking me to about just below half health. I stayed in anyway, which is a bit risky since all I had at this point was Grape the Vileplume and the Magikarp, which I haven't even sent out yet, but could still be used as death fodder later on. But we're luckily able to break through thanks to our plot armor and defeat her, giving us the 4th gym badge. I really thought that if we got unlucky and got full parried or got critted again, it would be the end for Charmeleon. From here though, we have a lot of Team Rocket stuff to take care of, like the Game Corner hideout, and we also have an increased level cap. I'm not really sure how this works since although Giovanni's Pokemon are around the same level as Erica's Pokemon that we just battled, the next gym leader's gym level cap is level 43, which is considerably higher. I decided to mainly use Charmeleon for this area anyway, and it eventually gets level 36 and evolves into Charizard. I also bought the Brick Break TM from the department store in town to give to Charizard to help against Giovanni's normal type Kangaskhan, and once I battle Giovanni, Vileplume takes care of his 2 rock type Pokemon with Absorb pretty easily. I probably should have taught Grape Giga Drain by now since we just got it from defeating Erica, but luckily we're able to win anyway. Now we can go all the way back to Lavender Town and go into the Pokemon Tower to save Mr. Fuji and have another rival fight against Green. Here we can avenge France, that sentence has a lot of layers to it, who fell to Green in the SS Anne, and I lead with Voltaire on his Pidgeotto since it recently evolved into Electrode. Electrotypes are great for our rival since he also has a Blastoise, and between Napoleon, Voltaire, and Grape, I'm able to counter his team incredibly well. After defeating him, we eventually save Mr. Fuji and get the Poke Flute, although we unfortunately can't catch any of the Snorlaxes, which would be kinda cool since Snorlax is a pretty good Pokemon. I would have possibly liked to have catch it so we could take the leftovers that Snorlax can hold, which is a fantastic item, but instead I just run away and make it into Fuchsia City. I even tried to teach a Pokemon Thief to see if I can steal the leftovers. I'm not even sure if that really works, but unfortunately nothing could learn Thief. But once in Fuchsia City, the first thing I do is collect the HM for Surf from the Safari Zone and the Gold Teeth in order to trade the Gold Teeth to the Warden for the Strength HM, and I also pick up the Super Rod. The Super Rod is incredibly useful for us since it allows us to catch Krabby, a red Pokemon, by fishing in Pallet Town amongst some other places, but I caught it in Pallet Town and named it King Louie. And the Super Rod also allows us to catch a Goldeen, which I don't do right now since Goldeen is very common and can be caught in a lot of areas, but if we ever need another Pokemon or we lose King Louie, we have the option of getting another water type pretty easily. I then begin to strategize for Koga's poison type gym, one of the harder gym leaders in the game in my opinion, and realize I really have nothing to hit him super effectively. I guess I could use Dig from Charizard on his Muck, but his other 3 poison Pokemon have Levitate and are immune to Dig, and have self-destruct, which is pretty scary. I then realized there is another red Pokemon we can get before this gym battle, which does very well for this gym. That Pokemon is Jinx, however we can only get it by trading a Poliwhirl to someone in Cerulean City in Fire Red. We can catch a Poliwag in quite a few areas, such as Fuchsia City, which I do, and I evolve it, then trade it for the Jinx. I'm unsure if this is against the rules or not, but since this is all made up rules in this challenge that I changed a little bit to fit the red Pokemon criteria, I don't think it really matters, and also I just wanted to use a Jinx. Granted, I did just omit from catching a Snorlax for the same very reason, as it would have required us to catch a non-red Pokemon, but then that begs the question of, did I cheat when I caught Pokemon just to get the Flash HM? So it opens a whole can of worm. Did I cheat? Did I not cheat? I don't know, but I have the Jinx anyway, so I go to Saffron City, get the Psychic TM from Mr. Psychic and teach it Psychic, which is great for the Fuchsia City gym. The Jinx was nicknamed Zinx, which I thought was a really weird name, but I go into Koga's Poison type gym anyway, which I thought would be a very difficult battle, but I really underestimated just how strong Jinx is, or overestimated how bulky Koga's Pokemon are, since Jinx outsped and one-shot his entire team with Psychic, giving us the 5th gym badge. So far we're doing really well, with our only reset being back in Brock's gym so far, and our only fallen Pokemon being France to our rival in the SSN. Rest in peace, France, I miss you very much. And although we may have bent the rules a little bit here and there, we made it farther than I thought. Now we can go to Saffron City and take care of some more events like the Silphco, which has been taken over by Team Rocket. Here we can lay waste to our rival yet again, with his team being very similar to what it was in Lavender Town. I led with Voltaire again on his lead Pidgeot to knock it out in 2 hits with Spark. Then Voltaire also takes out his Growlithe, and then on his Execute I take it out with Flareon since it knows Bite by now. I also gave Flareon the black glasses to boost Bite a little bit, mainly for Sabrina's gym, which is coming up pretty soon. And then Grape takes care of our rival's Blastoise, giving us another win against Green. For the Giovanni fight, I mainly use our newly acquired King Louis to type trump his ground type Pokemon with Surf, and then I use Napoleon to knock out his Kangaskhan with Brick Break yet again. We are rewarded with the Master Ball for our endeavors, and I don't think I can really use this much anymore unless I want to use it on a Goldeen or go use it on a Magmar if I could find one in the Sevii Islands. I'm not even sure if I have access to that area in the little bit of Sevii Islands we had before the post game, so I just prepare to fight Sabrina for now. The level cap here is the exact same level cap as it was for Koga, being 43, which I didn't realize until just now, but luckily everything but Jinx is below that level cap, so I don't use Jinx for this fight since it leveled up to level 44. In the Sabrina battle, I led with Eleanor the Flareon since she has Bite to take out her lead Kadabra, then it also takes out her Mr. Mime, although we are put to below half health between a Future Sight and some other attacks. I decided to stay in anyway, and I eventually take out the Mr. Mime with 3 HP to spare. So on her Venomoth, I go to Charizard, take it out with Flamethrower, and then I 2-shot her Alakazam with Flamethrower for the 6th gym badge. This one was actually a little bit scary, but from here I rushed down to Cinnabar Island and just used King Louis to defeat Blaine incredibly quickly. Typically, if you have a decent water type in this game with the move Surf, you can beat Blaine super quickly, as most of his Pokemon got one-shotted anyway. And I didn't even really bother to level up the team too much outside of any random XP I got from the Pokemon Mansion, since I knew that type trumping him would just be enough. Looking back on this, if Kingler fainted, I'm not really sure what I would have done. I am sure that Charizard would have been good enough for this gym, as well as maybe Voltaire, but now that just leaves the 8th and final gym badge against Giovanni back in Vermilion City. This is another gym where King Louis matches up well against, as in Giovanni's fight I'm able to take out his first 4 Pokemon very easily with water type attacks. It was a bit risky staying in on Nidoking when I only had 53 HP left on Kingler, but luckily we outsped it, lived a hit, and then 2-shot it with Surf. What made it even more risky is I only had 53 HP left, and the Earthquake from Nidoqueen, which is a weaker offensive Pokemon than Nidoking, did 30 damage, so I very easily could have died there. From here though, I play it safe, which I should have done from the start, for his final Pokemon in Rhyhorn by going into Grape to Giga Drain it for the victory, giving us the 8th gym badge. Next up, we have another rival battle, which I go in with just about the same formula as we've had since Lavender Town against our rival, which is to lead with Voltaire to take care of his flying type Pokemon Pidgeot, use King Louis on his Rhyhorn, Napoleon on his Execute, Grape on the Blastoise, Eleanor for his Alakazam, and finally King Louis again on his Growlithe. Really wish we could have at least caught a Growlithe. I don't understand why Growlithe isn't red in this game. I think it really would have been cool if we could have had a Growlithe. Granted, we do have a fire type already, but Growlithe is just a pretty cool Pokemon that should be red. But from here, I just go into the Victory Road and make it to the Elite Four entrance, where we have quite a lot of playing to do for our next upcoming battles. I noticed that the champion green's best Pokemon is level 63, while Lorelei, the first member of the Elite Four, has her lowest level Pokemon being 52, which is quite the level gap between them. I guess the level cap here would technically be level 63 then, since that's the highest level Pokemon here, but I go to only 60 anyway, to make the actual Elite Four matches a bit more intense, since I thought 63 would be too high. I try my best to fix my movesets as much as I can, and unfortunately can't get Thunderbolt for Voltaire because it's a Game Corner prize and I don't have enough money or luck to get the coins for it. To recap the team though, before we head into the final fight, we have Voltaire the Electrode, Eleanor the Flareon, Grape the Vaporeon, Napoleon the Charizard, Zinx the Jinx, and King Louis the Kingler to round out our red-only Pokemon team on Pokemon Fire Red. So first up in the Elite Four is Lorelei, so I lead with Voltaire since most of her team is part Water type. This works out pretty well at the start until she sends out her Lapras, which takes a Spark and lives with over half health, so it won't be a 2-hit KO. Thunderbolt really would have helped here, and since I am confused from her Confuse Ray, I have to switch out, so I go into Eleanor since Lapras is paralyzed, and I figured it would be able to live a hit even if it went for a water move and I wouldn't need Flareon for the rest of this fight. And by switching, it got rid of Voltaire's confusion so I could switch back into it. So when I go back into Electrode, the Lapras unfortunately doesn't get full parry again, goes for Surf, and puts Electrode on dangerously low health. This puts us in quite the terrible spot, so I go into Grape thinking she'd go for Surf again, but no, she Ice Beams for some reason instead, so I have to switch out again since I'm below half health. I go into King Louis here to take some hits, and luckily Rock Tomb does some decent damage to her Lapras. She's able to outpace me though with full restores and all that though, and Confuse Rays and stuff, causing King Louis to fall. This is our first death since France back in the SS, and so I go back into Jinx to try to take out the Lapras with a Psychic, but instead her Lapras lives again, then goes for Body Slam, and of course gets the paralysis on me, so I have to switch once more. I go to Charizard here hoping she won't go for a water move randomly, and luckily she doesn't. She Body Slams again and doesn't paralyze me this time, so I take it out with Brick Break. I then use Flamethrower on her final Jinx to knock it out to defeat Lorelei with one death, unfortunately. Second is Bruno, so I lead with Grape the Vileplume to take out his Onix, then on Hitmonchan I go into Jinx to Type Trumpet with Psychic. On the next Onix, I go into Grape to Giga Drain it, then I Sleep Powder his Machamp to give me a safe switch-in into Jinx. It ends up waking up first turn though, I mean why wouldn't it wake up first turn? Goes for a Scary Face to lower my speed so I'm now slower, and then knocks Zinx out. This means that Lance will be near impossible to defeat now without our Ice-type Pokemon, so I go into Eleanor just to get one-shotted by the Machamp even though I outsped it and got a burn off. I'm pretty sure this Machamp has No Guard and not the Guts ability too, because I remember another time when I was playing Fire Red, I went for Fly and got hit by a Stone Edge from Machamp because of the No Guard ability, which is the whole reason why I didn't teach Charizard Fly for this gym. I only had it had Wing Attack. But the Machamp also ends up knocking out Voltaire. All that's really left now is Charizard and Vileplume, and luckily Charizard's able to take out the rest of his team with Flamethrowers. For Agatha, I don't really know what to do. Vileplume is useless against her Ghost and Poison type Pokemon, so I guess I have to rely on Charizard to just Flamethrower her whole team. Can't go for Earthquake because in this generation her Gengars have Levitate, but she keeps putting me to sleep or going for a double team and then healing when she gets low, so I know that we won't win. I try my best anyway and ends up losing after a few turns of struggling, losing the red-only Pokemon run against Agatha in the Elite Four. Overall, this was a really fun run though, since red Pokemon are quite good and provide a pretty diverse team, something that you wouldn't expect because you would assume that most red Pokemon would just be fire types, although we only had 2 fire types in this whole playthrough. I think that beating this game in a hardcore Nuzlocke with only red Pokemon and possibly some other colors is definitely possible if you prepare a bit more than I did and don't get as unlucky as I did with the first turn wake ups and the paralysis that happened in the Elite Four. I really think that if I had Thunderbolt, I would have taken out the Lapras a lot easier, would have not lost my Kingler, and if that Machamp stayed asleep for at least another turn, I think we probably would have kept Jynx as well, but there's really no way for me to know that for sure. If you do want to see more color challenges like this, I guess you can call them that, or other Pokemon videos from me in general, then be sure to let me know by leaving a like down below and commenting down below letting me know what you want to see, and also subscribe so you don't miss any of those future uploads. With all that out of the way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I will see you all next time, and...
If you love PaPaSea, you'll love PaPaSea Extra. This new channel is for the most epic Twitch highlights from the PaPaSea Twitch channel, both of which will be linked in the description. Come watch some of the best Nuzlockers in the world with me, from the most epic gamer ever. It's so poggers! So come join me over at the PaPaSea Twitch channel and the PaPaSea Extra channel. I'll be waiting. Ooh.